Panel of local experts meeting for the first time today, tasked with tackling coronavirus misinformation in San Diego. Some of the issues doctors are highlighting.
Looking to level the playing field, the changes the county is considering in its approach to the pot business.
And decades later, closure, how DNA technology helped a local family finally learn definitively what happened to their relative during the attack on Pearl Harbor. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
We start with a developing situation in Fairmount Village. I'm Virginia Cha.
And I'm Jim Patton. Right now, a school is on lockdown as San Diego police look for a gunman who opened fire on someone nearby. We're told that Rosa Parks Elementary in Fairmount Village is on lockdown.
Police are saying just after 9 this morning, someone was shot in the leg a few blocks from that school. No word yet on that victim's condition.
Now, the gunman last seen walking away, as we said, from the scene. Last check, a search was still underway.
Meanwhile, in Arlington, Texas, a search is underway now for an 18-year-old student accused of shooting multiple people at a high school there. Police say 2 people were shot, several were injured. They say it started with a fight and that the suspect then pulled out a gun. Police say that suspect fled the scene and the school was evacuated. Police are still searching for that person who is considered armed and dangerous. So a group of local doctors is fact-checking things said during county board meetings about COVID-19.
You might wait for just a second for the video to catch up with us as we're still looking at that live picture from Arlington, Texas, where there has been a school shooting. Two students were shot, 2 others were injured in that. And moving on here, the White House saying today that we are on track to quadruple the country's access to at-home rapid COVID-19 tests by December. Last month, the president announcing a $2 billion investment in rapid testing, able to deliver results in just 15 minutes. The effort comes amid criticism from experts who say the administration, including the FDA, has been too cautious and slow in approving rapid tests. With the new announcement, the production of rapid at-home tests could rise from 30 million per month to 200 million by December. And today, the Board of Supervisors discussing possible changes to how permitted medical cannabis shops in the county operate. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell joins us live outside the county admin building. And Marie, this is part of a bigger plan for these outlets to operate.
Yeah, Jim, so the bottom line is they want to crack down on these marijuana shops that aren't operating legally, but also giving those that have the proper permit room to expand. As San Diego's cannabis industry continues to grow, the county is reviewing its policies to ensure there's a level playing field. They want to increase enforcement against unlicensed sellers, allow medical marijuana shops to expand their offerings to keep up with the recreational stores, and make sure entrepreneurs in every community have a way into the business. Last January, the Board of Supervisors asked the Planning Commission to put together an equitable cannabis program while looking at options for the 5 medical marijuana shops in the county that are currently operating. During the board meeting Wednesday, the commission proposed extending the operating licenses for those shops past the April deadline when they are set to expire. This proposal would also give them the option to sell products the other marijuana shops are selling and give them the option to apply for building expansions. When it comes to providing social and equitable opportunities, the commission says they'd like to hire a consultant who will head an outreach program that will provide mentorship and internship opportunities, something those in support of this plan say they're already trying to do.
Focused on providing mentoring and internship opportunities to disenfranchised members of our community.
And there are those who don't support these changes. They have been calling in, also voicing their opinions to the board. So the board will be deciding how to move forward with this issue. A second reading of this item is scheduled for later this month. Live outside the county admin building, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Marie. For decades, no one knew who he was, but today, finally, he will be laid to rest as Jesus Garcia. He was one of the hundreds of USS Oklahoma crew members who died during the attack on Pearl Harbor. He was buried in Hawaii as an unknown sailor. We talked to Sonny Garcia, who says all he ever knew about his uncle's death was that he was killed in action during Pearl Harbor. Then, 3 years ago, Sonny got a call from the Navy. In a years-long process to sort through the remains of the sailors killed on that day, using DNA technology, they were finally able to identify Jesus, bringing some closure to his relatives.
For me, it was, something that, I knew was already there. It just wasn't as real as it was when I got that call on that day.
Jesus' remains have now been returned to San Diego. And later today, Navy stewards mate Second Class Jesus Garcia will finally be laid to rest at Fort Rosecrans.
San Diego's science industry is on a hot streak. This morning, another researcher with local ties was awarded a Nobel Prize. Dr. Benjamin List won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his decades-old work revolutionizing the way that molecules are made to then be used in medicine and chemicals. List and another scientist was awarded the prize, helped develop a new way to make the molecules using organic materials. The Nobel panel says the discovery helped in a number of ways, including cutting down on harmful side effects in medicine. He made the discovery while working here in San Diego at the Scripps Research Institute. And earlier this week, a scientist working there was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology.
Overnight, Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg defending his company, pushing back against a whistleblower's accusations that the platform intentionally props up divisive content to increase profits. That whistleblower, former employee Frances Haugen, detailed those allegations on the national stage this week before members of Congress, and she urged lawmakers to take action. ABC's Rena Roy has the details.
I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
Former Facebook product manager Frances Haugen minced no words on Capitol Hill Tuesday, and now CEO Mark Zuckerberg doing the same, blasting her claims, saying they don't make any sense. Adding at the heart of these accusations is this idea that we prioritize profit over safety and well-being. That's just not true. Haugen, who worked in civic integrity, says the company knew about the harmful and potentially toxic effects of its apps, purposely sowing division to keep users engaged and systematically choosing profit over the safety of its users.
I would like to emphasize one of the documents that we sent in on problematic use examined the rates of problematic use by age, and that peaked with 14-year-olds. They say explicitly, I feel bad when I use Instagram, and yet I can't stop.
Haugen calling on senators to pass laws that would create more transparency. She also wants a federal agency to oversee these social media giants.
Big tech companies have way too much power, way too much influence in our society today, and there are a lot of harmful side effects that are resulting from the use of these secret algorithms that manipulate the content that people see.
Facebook called Haugen's claims inaccurate, but agreed it's time to begin to create standard rules for the internet.
I think that she misrepresented the issues that she testified about. And, she didn't work on these issues at Facebook. And I think that she's mischaracterized a lot of the documents that she stole.
Haugen worries if action isn't taken now, we may see further division here in this country and around the world. She said she came forward despite personal risks in hopes of preventing that. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
President Biden is suggesting changing Senate rules as lawmakers are running out of time to approve raising the country's debt limit. The president hinted that Democrats could change Senate filibuster rules in order to avoid firm opposition by Republicans. Eliminating the filibuster rule means legislation would need only 50 votes to pass the Senate instead of 60. Lawmakers have until October 18th to approve debt ceiling legislation to prevent the U.S. from running out of money to pay its bills. Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen said failing to pay its debts would send the U.S. into a recession. She says it could also cause a jump in interest rates and delay Social Security checks to more than 50 million Americans.
So a group of local doctors is fact-checking things said during county board meetings about COVID-19.
Yeah, the independent panel presented their findings today as part of the county's push to fight misinformation about COVID.
Let's get to ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie, who's live at the county's Health and Human Services Agency. So Mary, what exactly did the doctors say?
So this was the first of its kind. This was like a Q&A presentation with this independent panel of doctors, and they were specifically addressing myths about COVID that were brought up during yesterday's Board of Supervisors meeting.
We're here today to discuss COVID-19 medical and health misinformation.
During the presentation, doctors lamented that people come to the Board of Supervisors meetings in part implying that the books are being cooked, if you will, and that the numbers and the data are wrong, even deliberately manipulated. Each of the doctors on this independent panel from various local hospitals addressed nearly all of the main myths about COVID and what they said was additional misinformation put out there by speakers during Tuesday's Board of Supervisors meeting. They covered topics like mask effectiveness, vaccine side effects, COVID hospitalizations and deaths, vaccination and pregnancy, as well as misguided claims about natural immunity, ivermectin, and purported treatments for COVID. This presentation was the first push to make good on the county's first of its kind move to declare COVID misinformation a public health crisis. They've also launched a website to respond to misinformation, and the video of the presentation will be available there, as well as a written report that will be posted for anyone who perhaps wants to watch or share it. And as I mentioned, this is the first one, but there will be others. In fact, each time there's a COVID-19 update presented to the Board of Supervisors and an opportunity for public comment the following day, this panel will make a similar presentation. Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Mary.